Yeah, I think it's going to take people rolling up their sleeves and the willingness. We were talking earlier with someone from the state of Delaware about what made a successful implementation was the fact that there were people around the table who were committed. And I have no doubt that people at the state level and in the private sector are committed to this issue. I mean, it's important. Without saving and planning for retirement and having the money, you don't have your independence, you don't have your freedom. Now you're beholden, you're dependent. So I think we want to help foster that culture of saving and putting money away so that people can do what they want to do when they can get hit that ripe old age.
Yeah, and I think that's really hits on an important point here too for the states and for the industry and really for the general public, that it doesn't have to be that a success is every citizen in the state of California, for example, or Illinois or Delaware is saving 15% of their pay in the state system. I think if we can get a meaningful number of people to start saving that have never been in the retirement system before, but if we can get them on that path and then build on that success, there's going to be some failures or there's going to be some hiccups as we implement these programs, but learn from those, what works, what doesn't work, and make those tweaks going forward. Are there pockets of people that have not been that have been bypassed? And I think the other point too is, as I was saying before, this is not an entirely new system. There are some new challenges or some new, structures that have to be put in place. But like I said, we have an IRA system, we have a payroll system. In terms of policy, there are existing tools out there. So for example, just to get into the weeds a little bit, a lot of this legislation says, certain employers must enroll their employees, in these retirement plans and deduct something from wages. Well, how do we define employer under state law? How do we define employees and wages? And you can imagine having different definitions across different states. But unfortunately, there are existing state laws that have some uniformity, like unemployment insurance laws, where we can borrow from some of those definitions and apply them here and ensure that standardization that occurs across the state. So, the point being, not to endorse any particular kind of approach, but thinking, yes, we're going to have to create something new, but we have some tools in our toolbox to work with.
And that's when I go back to, that's where the public and private sector can work together. People have to share best practices and the willingness to roll up the sleeves and really dig in for the betterment of the people within the state or the locality or even across the country for saving and planning.
Yeah, and I think this is really, there's a big incentive for industry as well. Obviously there's the public good of getting more people to save, yep. But in a particular state that's passed this law. However, I think if industry can sort of, crack this nut of doing secure choice in California or Illinois or the other states, those lessons can be applied in states that have not passed secure choice because there are underserved populations in all of the states. So maybe that the lessons we learn in Illinois might be applied to Texas or Florida, other states that haven't passed a law yet. I think that's the exciting opportunity to do a lot of good.
Yeah, these are really exciting times. And John, hopefully we can, I know we're at the beginning of this, and maybe we can check in with you a little bit, in a few months or in 6 months or.
It'll be an ongoing process.
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking ongoing for a while.
Yes.
John Scott, thank you so much for joining us today on Staying Ahead of the Curve.
Thank you for having me.